The purpose of university lies in promoting lofty and upright virtues, in making people discard the old and embrace the new, and in enabling people to reach the most perfect state. To make one's thoughts honest is to not deceive oneself. Just as one hates the smell of filth, one loves kindness as one loves beautiful women. Only in this way can one be at peace with oneself. A gentleman should never relax his requirements on himself at any time. Even when he is alone, he should strictly abide by the moral code, be cautious and self-disciplined. A gentleman demands himself to achieve first and then demands others. When joy, anger, sorrow, and pleasure are not expressed, it is called equilibrium. When expressed and in accordance with moderation, it is called harmony. When reaching the state of equilibrium and harmony, heaven and earth will be in their proper positions and all things will grow and multiply. What one does not wish others to do to oneself, one should not do to others. If you love learning, you are close to wisdom. If you strive to do good, you are close to benevolence. And if you know shame, you are close to courage. For anything, if you are prepared in advance, you will succeed. If you are not prepared, you will fail. Learn extensively, seek advice in detail, think carefully, discern clearly, and act conscientiously. The way of a gentleman is to be dull in appearance but with virtues becoming more and more prominent day by day. The way of a petty person is to be bright in appearance but gradually disappearing. The way of a gentleman also lies in being plain in appearance without making people disgusted, simple yet with literary grace, gentle and orderly. Knowing that far starts from near, knowing that educating others starts from oneself, knowing that hidden things will gradually appear. In this way, one enters the virtues of a sage. After learning, isn't it a pleasure to review frequently? Isn't it a pleasure to have friends come from afar? Isn't it a gentleman to not resent when others don't understand oneself? I reflect on myself many times a day. Have I been dedicated when handling affairs for others? Have I been honest in making friends? Have I reviewed what the teacher taught? Respecting virtuous people and not being overly attached to female beauty, being able to do one's best in being filial to parents, being able to risk one's life in serving the monarch, being able to be trustworthy in communicating with friends. Such a person, although he is said not to have learned the principles of being a human being, I think he has learned them. In the application of rights, harmony is precious. A gentleman does not seek fullness when eating. He is diligent and quick in doing things but cautious in speaking. He approaches people of virtue and learns from them and corrects his own mistakes. Such a person can be said to be fond of learning. Don't worry about others and not understanding oneself. Worry about not understanding others. At 15, I was determined to learn. At 30, I could stand on my own. At 40, I could not be confused by external things. At 50, I understood the mandate of heaven. At 60, I could correctly deal with various remarks without feeling uncomfortable. At 70, I could do as I pleased without overstepping the bounds. Reviewing old knowledge and thereby obtaining new understanding and experience. Based on this, one can become a teacher. A gentleman unites people universally without partiality. A petty person is partial to people without universal unity. Learning without thinking leads to confusion. Thinking without learning is perilous. To know is to know. Not to know is not to know. This is true wisdom. If a person does not keep his word, how can he survive in the world? Just like a cart without a yoke or a small cart without a shaft, how can they move? If you have the heart to do something like this, what else can you not do? Happy but not too much, sad but not too much, it is good to live with virtuous people. If you choose not to live with virtuous people, how can you say that you are wise? A gentleman thinks about how to promote benevolence. A petty person thinks about how to get a comfortable place. A gentleman thinks about how not to violate criminal law. A petty person thinks about how to be beneficial to himself. A person should not worry about not having official positions and salaries. Instead, he should worry about not having the ability to hold official positions. He should not worry about others and not understanding himself. Instead, he should pursue the ability to let others understand himself. A gentleman values morality, while a villain values interests. When seeing a virtuous person, one should consider how to emulate him. When seeing an unvirtuous person, one should reflect inwardly and see if one has the same shortcomings. A gentleman should be cautious in speaking but resolute in acting. A person who is intelligent and studious does not feel ashamed to ask for advice from people who are lower in status or less knowledgeable than himself. If simplicity surpasses literary grace, it will appear crude. If literary grace surpasses simplicity, it will become flowery. Only when appearance and heart are properly coordinated can one be considered a gentleman. For anything, those who merely understand it are inferior to those who deeply love it. And those who deeply love it are inferior to those who take delight in it and never tire of it. You can discuss profound knowledge with people whose talents are above average, but you should not discuss profound knowledge with people whose talents are below average. A wise man likes water, because he is active and flowing like water. A kind man likes mountains, because he is kind and honest like mountains. A wise man likes to be active, a kind man likes to be quiet, a wise man likes to be optimistic, and a kind man likes to live long. Memorize what one has learned. Persist in learning without getting tired. Teach others without getting weary. If wealth can be obtained, even if I have to hold a whip and become a coachman, I will do it. But if it cannot be obtained, it is better to do what I like. Studying hard and often forgetting to eat. Once there is a harvest, one happily forgets sorrow and doesn't even feel one's own gradual aging. If 3 people walk together, there must be someone among the other 2 who can be my teacher. If they have merits, I will learn from them. If they have shortcomings, I will take them as a reference and correct mine. Confucius educated his students in 4 aspects: learning culture, cultivating virtue, being loyal, and being consistent in words and deeds. A gentleman's heart is broad and open. A petty person's heart is narrow and full of sorrow. When a bird is about to die, its cry is sad. When a person is about to die, his words are kind. A scholar cannot but have a broad mind and a strong will because he shoulders heavy responsibilities and has a long journey. He takes realizing the ideal of benevolence as his mission. Isn't the burden heavy? He struggles for this ideal until he dies. Isn't the journey long? Confucius does not have the following 4 shortcomings: subjective speculation, absolute affirmation, being stubborn and self-righteous. Confucius stood on the shore and pointed at the river and said, "The passage of time is like this river. It flows continuously day and night." Young people are scary, because how can we know that their future will not be as good as ours now? But if a person is still unknown when he is 40 or 50 years old, he has nothing to be scared of. Only when the weather is cold can one understand the character of pine and cypress standing independently in the frost. A gentleman helps others achieve good deeds but not bad deeds. A petty person is just the opposite. As long as people in high positions act properly themselves, even without issuing orders, people below will follow suit. If their actions are improper, even if orders are issued, people below will not obey.